At 64, the tragedy of my life is beyond devastating. And if you're listening right now, I want you to hear this from me. Not from a headline, not from a rumor, but from a man who has lived long enough to understand what loss truly feels like. I've walked red carpets, stood under bright lights, played roles that reached millions, and lived a life most people only see through screens. But behind all of that, there were battles nobody witnessed, moments of heartbreak that never made the news, and a quiet kind of pain that sits with you until it finally demands to be spoken aloud. People usually think fame protects you, as if success builds a shield strong enough to keep real life away. But age has a way of stripping away that illusion. It shows you that no award, no spotlight, no applause can stop the hardest parts of life from finding you. At 64, I've learned that the deepest tragedies aren't always the dramatic ones. They come from the slow changes you don't notice at first, the unexpected turns, the faces you lose along the way, and the memories you wish you could hold on to a little longer. And if you've ever wondered what it feels like to be seen as strong while quietly trying to keep yourself from breaking, believe me, I understand that more than you know. Today, I'm not speaking as the actor you've watched over the years. I'm speaking as a man who has lived, loved, lost, and carried more weight than my smile ever revealed. And if you stay with me, I'll tell you why this chapter became the one I never saw coming, and how it changed everything. As I moved through my 60s, something began happening that no one prepares you for, something that doesn't show up in scripts or interviews or the highlight reels of a long career. It wasn't one dramatic moment, but a slow, heavy shift that settled into my life piece by piece. You wake up one morning and realize the people who shaped you are no longer here to pick up the phone. You feel time pressing against you in a way it never has before, reminding you that the world you built your life around is changing faster than you can hold on to it. And the hardest part isn't the aging itself. It's watching the distance grow between who you used to be and who you're becoming. You start rethinking the choices you made, the moments you missed, the friendships you let fade, the dreams you set aside because you thought you'd always have more time. Fame doesn't protect you from that. Success doesn't soften it. If anything, it makes the silence louder when the crowd is gone. I found myself sitting with memories that once felt warm, but now carried a sting. Memories of places I can't return to and people I can't replace. You learn that life doesn't break you all at once. It wears you down quietly, through goodbyes you didn't expect, through changes you weren't ready for, through the realization that even the strongest hearts carry cracks no one else can see. And the truth is, the tragedy of reaching this age isn't about loss alone. It's about understanding that every part of your life, even the painful ones, shaped the man you are now. But it doesn't make the weight any easier to carry. It just makes it impossible to ignore. As I crossed into my 60s, something changed in a way I never expected. Something that didn't come with a warning label or a gentle introduction. It arrives quietly, almost respectfully, as if it wants to give you time to understand it. But eventually, it becomes the heaviest truth you've ever carried. You start realizing that the people who once formed the foundation of your life are now memories, voices you can hear but can't touch anymore, faces you remember better than you see. You walk into rooms that used to feel full, and suddenly the silence feels enormous. You look back on old photographs and realize that you spent so much time racing forward that you didn't notice how fast the world behind you was disappearing. And the strange part is, it's not the big dramatic losses that break you. It's the quiet ones. The routines you took for granted. The conversations you assumed you'd have again. The people who were always there until one day they weren't. You begin to understand that time doesn't ask for permission. It just keeps taking. And somewhere along the way, you start feeling that shift inside yourself too. Your body reminds you that you're not the man you were at 30 or 40, no matter how hard your spirit tries to argue otherwise. You wake up with aches you didn't earn, and a tiredness that doesn't come from work, but from life itself, slowly carving its way through you. You start replaying the choices you made, the roles you turned down, the relationships you didn't protect enough, the moments you rushed through because you thought you'd have endless tomorrows to appreciate them. And when the spotlight fades and the noise quiets, those reflections sit with you in a way nothing else ever has. The applause ends, the cameras stop, and suddenly you're left with a version of yourself that nobody else sees. Fame doesn't prepare you for that. Success doesn't soften the truth that everyone, no matter who they are, eventually has to face the parts of life that hurt the most. And the tragedy of reaching this age isn't just about losing people or moments. It's about realizing you can't get back the parts of yourself that disappeared with them. But the weight of it all, that's the part nobody warns you about. How memories gain value the moment they become impossible to relive. How time becomes a mirror that doesn't lie. How even a strong man can feel hollow when he finally stops running long enough to feel everything he avoided for decades. And that, more than anything, is the truth I never expected to face at 64. As the years moved deeper into my 60s, something began unfolding in my life that I never spoke about publicly. Something that doesn't show up in magazine covers or interviews or the carefully edited pieces of my story that the world thinks it already knows. There's a point you reach where time stops feeling like something you're moving through and starts feeling like something closing in around you. Slowly, quietly, piece by piece. You begin to notice little things at first. The way familiar places don't feel the same anymore. The way the laughter of old friends becomes a memory instead of a sound. The way family gatherings grow smaller for reasons no one wants to say out loud. And then it hits you that life isn't just about what you've done. It's about everything you're losing along the way. I started waking up with a heaviness I couldn't name, a weight that had nothing to do with age and everything to do with the pieces of my life that slipped away without warning. You think you're prepared for it. You tell yourself it's just a part of getting older. But nothing prepares you for the moment. You look around and realize half the people who shaped your world aren't here anymore. You go through old letters, old photos, old messages, and suddenly they feel like relics from a life you barely recognize. You tell yourself you were present, that you appreciated moments when they happened. But the truth is, most of us don't understand the value of the present until it has already become the past. And somewhere in that quiet space between who you were and who you've become, you start losing pieces of yourself too. Your confidence, your ease, your sense of direction. The world expects you to stay strong, to stay charming, to stay the version of yourself they've built in their minds. But they don't see the nights you spend awake trying to make peace with the parts of your story that still sting. They don't see how the silence grows louder as the years pass, how the weight of old regrets becomes something you carry like a shadow. The hardest part isn't the aging or the physical changes. It's the emotional echoes that follow you. It's the moments you replay over and over, wondering if you could have been more patient, more present, more aware of how fragile time really is. You start missing people you didn't call enough, moments you didn't slow down for, memories you thought would last forever, but somehow faded like old film. And what makes it all even heavier is knowing that no amount of fame, no amount of success, no amount of admiration from the world can shield you from the reality that everyone eventually faces, the truth that life gives, but it also takes. And sometimes it takes more quietly than it ever gives. At 64, I found myself confronting parts of my soul I didn't even know I had ignored. I learned that you can be surrounded by millions and still feel the loneliness of unfinished conversations, unspoken feelings, unhealed wounds. And the tragedy isn't in the pain itself. It's in realizing how much of it you tried to outrun for years, only to have it catch up to you when the world finally quieted down. That is the part of aging no one warns you about, the part that changes you in ways you never saw coming. As the years moved into my 60s, I began feeling a shift inside me that no amount of fame or success could soften. It wasn't one moment. It was a slow, heavy realization that the world I once moved through with ease was changing faster than I could hold on to it. Friends I shared decades with became memories instead of voices I could call. Rooms that were once full of laughter began to feel quieter, almost hollow. You don't notice it at first, but then one day you wake up and realize you've lost more than you ever prepared yourself to lose. You start replaying old moments, wondering why you rushed through them, why you assumed time was endless. You feel the weight of regrets you never had time to address. It's not the wrinkles or the gray hair that hit you. It's the emotional truth that life takes from you in silence long before you're ready. That's the part of aging no one warns you about.